Well, hey guys, welcome. Happy Monday, the last Monday in June. And I want to just welcome you to almost July and the ability for us to take the second half of this year and make it the most that we could. So let me jump on real quick. Let me make sure that I have got everybody on board, all my channels are working, and then we'll get started. Everybody on board, all my channels. So we've got that. Okay, and thanks for the all right. All right, guys. So if you are jumping on board for the first time, thank you so much for jumping in. This is my Monday morning live. We do this. We've been doing this now for going on 4 years. We started doing it on YouTube about, gosh, it's been probably 3 months ago. So I'm going to give it another couple minutes for everybody to jump on board. But if you're watching this live, either on YouTube or in our Facebook marketing group, make sure you put in the comment section where you are from. We are starting to gain people all across the United States, and I just want to know where you're from. So just put that in there. And we are going to get started here shortly, about another minute. And there we go. And hopefully you had a great weekend. I know this weekend coming up is going to be huge. If you're watching this on the record, you may not be aware, but this is being shot on June 29th. So July 4th is this Saturday. A great thing about July 4th being on Saturdays that most of us have all Sunday to rest. But more importantly, this particular one, it's 250 years of America's freedom. So super excited to celebrate that. Most of you guys know that we live in the Fort Worth, Texas area, if you're watching this outside of Texas. And we actually live close to downtown. So we get to walk to the biggest fireworks in Texas, which is the Fort Worth fireworks. So it's going to be a big one this year. We're super excited about it. And let's get into what we're going to talk about today. Today, we are starting a 4-part series. It's going to be every Monday. We're going to be talking about specifically about how you build your business, but more importantly, how you actually are able to do real estate, whether you're a vendor or whether you're in the real estate market, the real estate agent market, without having to kill yourself. For most of us that had success our first couple of years in, we had no systems. We had no really anything that we were doing other than just hustle. So most of us, if you're like me, you got into real estate. I got into real estate over a dozen years ago and had pretty good success the first couple of years. But it was ups and downs and a lot of hustle, a lot of burnout. And I'd go from 0 deals in a pipeline to 6 deals. I even had at one point, I had 11 deals as an individual agent with just a transaction coordinator. I had 11 deals closing in 1 month. And although it was phenomenal, it was almost a multiple 6-figure month in gross commissions. It was almost killed me because I didn't have a whole bunch of I didn't have a foundation of my business. It was just literally just blood, sweat, and tears, that kind of thing. And nobody can sustain a business long term like that. And why would you, right? Most of us get in the business because we want some type of freedom. We want time freedom. We want money freedom. We want freedom of being able to determine our how busy we are, how much money we make, all those kind of things. Nothing wrong with any of that. But then we get into the business of owning a business, and we realize that it's not quite what we thought it was. Like there's a lot of things that we don't think about when we first get our license. And no matter what part of the country you're in, I've coached agents all across the United States, and I'll say it's pretty much the same in the sense that we get our license, and we kind of think when we get into the schooling of, to get our license and to take the classes, whether it's online or in person, most of us have a thought that when we get finished and we get, we actually get the certificate and we actually get our dues paid and all that, and we have the keys to open the door, right? we going into that, we think that we're going to learn how to do real estate, but the reality is we don't. They don't teach you how to run a business. They don't teach you how to market. They don't teach you how to sell. They just teach you how to get sued or not get sued, depending on how you look at it. And so I want to address today how we actually, one, what most of us go through, right? And then how do we actually get out of that cycle of just roller coaster of deals and no deals, deals and no deals. So let's back up for a second and think about the first of this year. For you, if you're like me, I can't believe we're already in July. But maybe back in October, November, December, maybe even January, you had all these goals. You had big energy. You had it was a new year, 2026. You're going to post every day. You're going to create this marketing plan, and it's going to run, and you're going to get followers, and you're going to get leads from whether it's YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn, and you've got all these great plans. And then February hit, and when February hit, Instagram or TikTok, when February hit, things got slow, and so we started having to worry about, we're going to get paid this next month, and then March, and then now we're in July, and now what? Think about this. Okay. We all kind of go through this at some point in our business. And one of the things that I know from being a coach now for going on 10 years, and if most of you guys don't know, if you look over in this section, there's a state championship trophy from the state of Texas, where I was a head football coach and athletic director for private schools before I became a realtor. And so I liken a lot of things that I do now to what I did then on the football field. And I will tell you that I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to judge your business. I'm not here to judge how you've quote unquote failed or succeeded. There's no judgment in any of the conversations I ever have around real estate, because it's your business. You build it the way you want. But just know, if you don't build it, if you don't intentionally build your business, you're going to wind up always being in the weeds and always at the the to and fro of the winds of the market. And here's what I am going to tell you. Hopefully I'll give you a little bit of relief right now. Discipline is not your problem. I know you think it may be. I know maybe you have coaches that have told you that you just need more discipline. Like, if you just buckle down and just do the thing, right? But I will say that discipline is not your problem. It's your design that's your problem. I'm going to talk to you today about how you actually can back up a little bit, even during the busy part of our season, and start designing your business so that it produces the fruits that you're actually wanting in your business. If you don't know who I am, by the way, my name is Kevin Harris. I am a coach. I'm a broker owner in Fort Worth, Texas. I'm also a real estate agent. We have a team. Me and my wife run a team here locally. I've been in the real estate business for, I think it's been 13 years, maybe going on 14. And before that, I was a football coach for many years. And before that, I ran a successful business as a vice president in the retail sector. And so I've always kind of gravitated towards helping people succeed, what I call it, helping become the hero in their own story. And even though we have our real estate business, I also do full-time coaching. And so I want to help you today kind of uncover and discover maybe the things that are keeping you from having the business that you want. We often say, if you've been to any classes on marketing, and we're going to talk a little bit about marketing, but if anybody on, if you show up on, my thought was, if I showed up on Facebook, talked to a ton of people, that the business would just roll in. And I'll be honest with you, my first year or two, it did, because I hustled. I did open houses. I talked to people in my sphere. I posted videos on Facebook when no one else wanted to post videos. I got over that hump of, caring what people thought about me on video. And I had business until I didn't. I thought I had a system, although it wasn't a system. I wasn't posting regularly. I didn't care about the content. I didn't care about serving people that I was speaking to. I just cared about the hustle. And it worked until it didn't. And when it didn't, I had to step back and go, why am I in this lull, this valley of despair of real estate in the sense that I didn't have the business I was hoping I would have. And I will tell you the reason why I figured out early on was because I didn't have any systems. I didn't have a system that no matter if I was motivated or not, no matter if I was ready to work or not, there were still business and business conversations happening because of the systems. Most successful, if not all successful businesses start with the very first system of where do I acquire clients and how do I do it consistently over time? Because without that system, none of the other systems work. Like you can have all the best listing presentations, you can have the best buyer presentations out there, you can have the best website, but if you don't have clients to talk to, none of that matters, right? So the first system that we have to think about is how do we actually market and or hunt, which is what I call it, but going out and prospect, so that we have a consistent conversation with people on a daily, if not hourly basis. So the best teams I ever coached, the ones that won state, they went to state twice. I've had multiple championships at district and regional level in the high school era, as a multiple championships as an athletic director. The absolute best ones that I ever coached had nothing to do with their talent, although there was talent on the team. What it had to do with was the system that we had built. It took me 4 or 5 years in football coaching to really figure out the system that I wanted to run so that we knew predictably that we were going to have a successful season every year and that we would always be in the hunt for that playoff and then eventual championship. And that system delivered that. Like I only had 2 losing seasons. My very first one when I didn't know what I was doing, and my very last one when I decided to move out of the coaching world and schools. And the rest of the time we had a winning season every year. Not because there was sometimes we had more talent, sometimes we had less talent, but we had a successful season almost every year because we had systems that every single starting in May. We would start a system with our team, and then we would go out through summer, and then we would get into, if you're familiar with football, 2-a-days, and then we would run 2-a-days, and then we would have scrimmages, and then we would literally, by the time we got our first game, we knew our boys were in shape. We knew that they had a certain amount of cardiovascular. We knew they had done a certain amount of reps from a system that we had built. If that makes sense to you, put 1 in the chat if you're watching this. And if you're watching on this record, make sure you put R in the comment section or on the chat, and just put 1 if that makes sense. That systems are what makes success in the sports world and in business. We know this because we watch our professional teams, and our professional teams, you see these high flying talent, which they're awesome. Some guys can score. In basketball, they score 45, 50 points. But without a team around them and a system of running the game, what winds up happening is they wind up not being able to ultimately get to the finals, because it's not about the one person. It's not about the hot flash. It's not about the deal that you did last week or next month. It's about, can you bring in conversations every single day and week of your business? So let me paint you a picture. Monday morning, you get up with good intentions. You say, today's the day I'm going to start posting regularly. And then all of a sudden you forget you had 2 showings. You got a client text with a deal that you have some problems with some inspection. Then all of a sudden you get a phone call. And by the time you think about it, it's 4 p.m. on a Monday. And you think, I'll do it tomorrow. And then what winds up happening is you feel it, that little voice inside of you saying, well, you did it again. You were going to do something on Monday and you didn't do it. Now it's Tuesday. And there's guilt there. There's guilt because we think that if I just had the discipline to do it, I would, that voice couldn't talk to me that way. Right. I've heard it hundreds of times, and I've heard it hundreds of times from agents that I coach. Here's what I will tell you. The guilt is telling you something real for sure, but it's pointing you in the wrong direction, because that guilt is saying that you are the problem, that your work ethic is the problem, that your commitment is the problem, your character is the problem, your discipline is the problem. And I will tell you, in the business world specifically, that voice is wrong. It's not you. You are not the problem. Here's the reason I know that. You're not lazy, because if you were lazy, you wouldn't have a voice inside of you telling you that you messed up. Lazy people are okay being lazy. Like they're okay. I call it the 95%. I'm not saying that all 95% are lazy, but the reality is most people, like, if they don't get something done, they're just like, whatever. Hey, it's no big deal. I won't get it done. I don't care about the commitment if they even have one. But that's not you. You actually have a voice inside of you getting frustrated because you're not accomplishing. That's not laziness. That's not the inability to want to win. That's just the problem, because you don't have an infrastructure or a foundation underneath you that is working and doing the things that need to get done, but that you don't have time for because you're doing other things. We all wear, especially when you become a brand new realtor and you start running your business, we all wear all the hats. And I will tell you that those hats can get heavy, especially as you start to get busy. If you get 2 or 3 in the pipeline, especially for like their buyers, they get really heavy, because you still got all this other stuff you're supposed to be doing, but your time is being pushed into your current clients. But without prospects down the road, the current clients will become past clients, and you won't have any prospects. You won't have any new clients, because you didn't do the thing, because you didn't have the foundational systems in place to be doing it while you were doing something else. Does that make sense? The issue with most of us is not that we're lazy. It's not that we're undisciplined. It's that we don't have a system in our business that allows us to go do the things that we should be doing, and making sure that the things that still need to get done. That's the great thing about artificial intelligence. It's one of the many great things. Now, there's a lot of things that I would tell you that are not great about artificial intelligence right now, but I use it every single day. I use multiple platforms to systemize the business of what we do, so that I can focus on the things that I'm called to do. I'm not called to design an email. I'm not called to create a landing page. I'm not called to figure out the storyboard of a post or a reel that I'm trying to create. That's not my calling. It may be somebody else's calling, but it's not my calling. And with the advent of artificial intelligence, we can give a lot of that to them if we build it right. We build it once. We build it once. We build it right. We don't have to build it again. Okay. And whether that's we're talking about AI, or whether we're talking about just our system that runs in the background, our CRM, our marketing platform, all those kind of things. And that allows us then to go out and do the things that we are called to do, which is serve people at a high level, help them with the biggest financial decision of their life. I was blessed enough yesterday to be on a final walkthrough with one of my wife's clients, and just to see the expression of the fact that they are about to close on the house of their dreams, on the house that they've been looking for. They're a growing family. And just to see them stand outside, and almost brought me to tears, knowing that I had a small part to play in that one of the biggest deals of anybody's life is where they're going to live and how they're going to raise their family and where they're going to raise their family from. I mean, it's awesome to be able to do that. But if I was knee deep into systems, and if I was knee deep in having to figure out everything else, I may not be there. But I was able to be there and enjoy the time with them, and walking through the house, and figuring out where their rooms are going to be and all that kind of stuff. That's what we get. That's where we get our energy from, right? Hero, the Hero Edge, my coaching company. Hero is an acronym for health, energy, relationship, and opportunities, which the opportunities pay for the other three. And the energy that you get from watching someone just light up and be able to know that their dreams are coming true, it's phenomenal. But we oftentimes will overlook that because we're so head down doing things because we know we need to get done, last minute stuff. All right. So let's talk about what discipline actually requires you to do. If you guys I'm sure most of you guys know that pilots, and this is what we hope for anyway. When a pilot gets on a plane, there's a checklist that they have. It's a pretty extensive checklist. It's onboarding. There's like 5 or 6 of them. And no matter how much time they've had in the cockpit, no matter how much experience, no matter how many times they've done the route, no matter how many times they flew that airplane, they still go through that checklist. It's still mandatory that they go through and they make sure that every little thing is done before they take off, because they have, hundreds of people's lives at stake. Surgeons, same way. You don't want a surgeon going in the operating room and go, well, what are we doing today? Right? You want them to know exactly what they were planning on doing before they ever walk in to have to do any procedure on you. An NFL offense, getting back to football, an NFL offense, they don't show up on Sunday and just go, well, let's just run something, right? They have planned and worked and practiced the same movement, the same play, so that when they get to game day, it hopefully goes off without a hitch, if in the ideal world, but at least they know that they're going to run the plays a certain way until they have to adjust. Most of us think that we understand that from a logical standpoint, but we don't always put it in practice. And so let's look at the average real estate mark, since we're talking about real estate, the real estate marketing setup. There's no checklist. There's no protocol. There's a vague intention to post somewhere at some point, and maybe you saved a reel, maybe you saved a TikTok that you want to create that at some point, and you've got a good idea, and then Netflix and 47 unread emails and the latest drop of a series, and it doesn't get done. That's what I have found most realtors, because they just don't treat their business like a business. But you're on this call, you're watching this. If you're still watching this, hopefully, you realize that you need to build some foundational things in your business so that you don't have to go through this for the next 3 or 4 years. You can solve this literally in weeks. Within a few weeks, you can have a system in your business that your marketing goes off. Yes, you still have to do some of the content. That's part of the system, but you don't have to repeat everything over and over again and come up with different things over and over again, because there are systems out there that will do it for you if you put them in place in your business. James Clear says this: we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. We don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. I have found that to be true. If you have found that to be true, maybe you can put true in the chat, okay? Because I will tell you that anytime I have figured out that I have not been consistent, or I don't have leads, or I don't have something done, it's usually because I don't have a system that reminded me to do it. And so I'm waking up every day and I'm trying to figure out what to do. And it's not a good way to run your life, for sure, but it's definitely not a good way to run your business. So here's the real question. I want you to think about your marketing. I want you to think about what you want it to look like and what it actually looks like right now. Not what you think it looks like, not what you want it to look like but I want you to think about what you want it to look like and what it actually looks like right now. Like, I just got finished with a 3-day challenge for our coaching and marketing platform. And one of the things that was apparent, and it's, again, there's no judgment behind it, because if most people are this way, and I have been this way myself, and I'm this way in certain parts of what I do. Everybody's always on the journey, right? We may be a little bit farther down the road, but we're always on the journey. But one of the things that I have noticed is that we have agents that don't even have all of their people, like everybody that they know, like, and love, in one place so they can talk to them. They're not even talking to the people that know them. They're not even communicating at any level with any consistency and letting them know, hey, if you have a real estate need, I'm here. Just raising their hand, giving them value. They don't even have a system around emails. They don't have a system around texting. They don't have a system around consistently posting on Facebook. I mean, forget about paid ads. Forget about going out and recruiting new people. We're not even talking to the people that we already know, which, if you don't know, is the highest converting conversations in our business. Like, bar none, the highest converting conversations into a real estate transaction, real estate, whether it's buy or sell, is the people that we already know. But yet most realtors aren't even taking advantage of that because they don't have a system around talking to them. Like they think they have to get out and they have to actually, look at their phone and call each one day by day. And that's a system if you did it. But there are systems out there that will do a lot of the heavy lifting for you if you will lean in and actually spend a little bit of time on your business, building out that structure so that you don't have to build it every single time you want to have a conversation. So if you can't answer that your system looks exactly the way you want it to, then here's what I would tell you. Matter of fact, if you can't answer in one sentence how your marketing works consistently, you don't really have a system. You may have an idea of a system, you have pieces of a system, but a system is every single day, this happens. Every single day, I touch my clients, whether it's email, text, or phone calls, 32 times a year, because I have a system that does it. And then the system doesn't call them, but it tells me to call them on certain times, 4 times a year. Those are systems that once you put those systems in place, and again, there's never been a time that it's easier to do that. Okay. And we'll get to that in just a second. So here's what I want you to ask. I want you to think about. Are there agents out there that do have a system, that are communicating, that are marketing at a high level? The answer to that is yes. So then the next question would be, what are they doing that you're not? What could you implement in what they're doing versus what you are? Now, if you don't have thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars to invest in your own business right now, although there's nothing wrong with that, then you may not be able to hire a marketing team. You may not be able to hire 3 VAs or a full-time assistant to handle these things. So how do you actually build a system? And by the way, even if you did have a VA group, virtual assistants, or you did have an assistant, guess what? If you don't have a system to tell them what to do, then they don't know what to do. Because the whole job of when you hire someone is to give them what they call a standard operating procedure and give them a guide to, this is what I want you to do in your job description. So you first have to build that before you hire anybody. Because if not, they're just sitting there waiting for you to tell them what to do so that they can get paid and so that they can do a good job, but you don't have anything to show them. So the system has to be built even before you start hiring people to do the job. You still have to build the system on the front end. Okay. So here's what I have found that agents that grow the fastest, they're not the most talented by any stretch. Most of them are not even the biggest personality in the room. Some of the biggest personalities are the most chaotic in their business because they rely on their own energy, and energy can wane depending on the time, depending on how busy you are, depending on the year. But what they do have is their communication is systematic. The same content, same schedule, same messaging every week without burnout. Their mood does not determine their business. That's what it looks like to practice. That's what it looks like to run a system, is that no matter what mood you're in, people are still getting communicated with. And they usually build it around one specific client first. So not everybody, but just one type of client. It can be a demographic, socioeconomic, a type of area in town. It can be a specific group of people like downsizers, first-time home buyers, but they focus on one at a time until they build out that system, and then they go on to everybody else. There's a saying in the sales game that if you speak to everyone, you sell to no one. Write that down. If you speak to everyone, you sell to no one. So making sure that you're speaking specifically to the people you want to talk to so that the algorithms know, so that when you say a message, the people that you're talking to hear it because you're speaking to their needs. Okay. So let's wrap this up real quick. I want to give you 3 things to think about over the next week before we get into the 4th of July. Number 1, consistency problem is a system problem. It's not an internal problem. It's not a lack of will problem. Your consistency problem is a system problem, not a character flaw. Okay. If you learn nothing else today, hopefully you've taken that and you've taken a breath and maybe giving yourself a little bit of grace. It's not a discipline problem, and you are not broken. You are exactly who God wants you to be, but you've got to build a system in your business. Number 2, discipline works when the environment supports it. Without infrastructure and motivation, will run out every single time. I can motivate people all day long, but once they get out the door, once they get out of the class, if they don't have a system around what they're going to do, then when the things get hard, the first door you hit, the first roadblock you hit, most people quit because the motivation will only take you there. It won't get you through. You got to have the environment, and you got to have the people around you that say, you can do it. Let's go. Come on. Every journey starts with the first step, and it's always better to travel with a group. Okay. And number 3, the question I want you to answer this week is this: what runs your marketing when motivation is low? What runs your marketing when motivation is low? If you don't have an answer, then that's your work for this week. Your work this week is to go find the marketing system that when your motivation's low and you don't want to do it, or you're out on vacation, or you're busy doing something else, someone is still being talked to by you, even though you're not the one doing it. So next Monday, we're going to go into number 2, or part 2, where we talk a little bit more about why maybe you are standing out there, but it's not converting. And maybe your conversations are not converting into deals, whether that's on social media, whether it's your emails, whether it's the personal conversation. But how do you show up consistently? And then how do you convert when you're showing up? So here's my call to action. Number 1, if this hits you today and you know somebody that maybe is in the same boat, somebody you went to real estate school with, somebody in your brokerage, please share this. Share this either in Facebook or in YouTube, and partner with someone around you to build your systems together. It's always easier when you're building together, because you don't know everything, they don't know everything, but you guys together will know more. That's what a mastermind is called. Why it's called a mastermind, because it's a gathering of minds to become a mastermind. Number 2, drop a comment and tell me, what is the one marketing activity you keep starting and stopping? I read every single comment. Okay. So if you'll drop it in, what do you keep starting and stopping in your marketing? If you'll put it in the comment section, I might even address it next week in our live that we do. But I make sure I read them, and I will always try to respond to every single comment, whether it's on YouTube or whether it's in our Facebook group. And if you've been thinking about, hey, I really need a system, I don't know which one's the best, I don't know which CRM is the best, I don't know which marketing platform is the best, I don't know how to manage my social media. If that's you, DM me either on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, make a comment, and just put that you want to know more about it. I've got a system that can help you do all that, and I'd love to jump on a call and let you and just talk about it and see if it's be right for you. And we're excited about it. But more importantly, I just want you to win. I want you to succeed. I want you to be the hero in your own story. Understand this. Next Monday, we're going to be here, same time, 11 a.m. Heroes are built. They are not born. Heroes are built. They are not born. And I want you to go build your hero story, because you are the hero of your story. So I ask you today to think about it, pray about it, meditate on it, and then go be the hero for you, your family, and your future. My name is Kevin Harris, founder of the Hero Edge. You guys have a great week. Happy 4th of July. I'll see you on the other side. Peace and love.